as if me as a bidder, I said to you, because I want this bid and I want to make it more attractive, I will then tow your cars for free or a discounted rate. That goes to the example that you're using. But in this case, we have said, if you wish to do business with us, you must. That's part of the RFP. It's not, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's part of the specs. So it's not that it's yes in the best interest of the city, but no, it's not in the best interest of the business.
But I guess I would have to. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So that's very different, and I feel like everybody's costs go up, our budget goes up, everybody's budget goes up, and we haven't raised these fees in a couple of years, and so business owners, these small business owners, their costs every time they call for what the chief calls a hookup, they have to come and pay their employee and put their truck on the road and pay the gas, which has been increasing. So their costs have increased, and we have not taken that into consideration. And then even if they're not paying the full freight, I think there needs to be some consideration to these small business owners who are providing this service to the city. We have other contracts, and we don't ask when they repair the car, every fifth car you have to do for free or a discounted rate. So I don't know of any other contract within the city, any other RFP that we've ever put out that has that kind of language in it. So that to me, this is like, it's an outlier. I don't see, never seen any other RFP that you have to do free things. Now, do people do that? I'm sure they do that. But this has been put forth as a requirement in order to submit a bid. That's different.
I guess.
Go ahead. Please.
I guess, though, I would again argue that it's only for disabled city-owned vehicles. And again, I know that they weren't able to make that distinction for us. I think you sent us an email, or Lieutenant, one of our police officers sent us something.
I forwarded an email.
Yeah. So again, we don't know the volume of business that a company is doing. I'm imagining that they're towing a heck of a lot of non-city-owned vehicles, more than they are towing city-owned vehicles. So there must be, again, they are a business person. They must have evaluated, okay, I'm going to have to do this for free, but at the same time, that means I'm going to be able to do all of this and get paid for it. So I just want to make my case that I don't have an issue with this.
I do when I feel like we're putting our hands in a small business person's pocket. That's how I see it, because we're not giving them the opportunity to even to negotiate that. If we went into a contract and then we can negotiate, that becomes a different conversation. But we're saying you absolutely must tow city-owned vehicles as part of your RFP. That's how RFPs go. You send out an RFP and say, these are the parameters. In order to vote, in order to submit one, you must meet this. It's not an option.
Is it in the RFP?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That was what we had last meeting.
Okay.
It's in there.
Go ahead.
Is this the first time that we're requesting that in the contract?
This is the only contract that has this stipulation
So,
we have dealt with.
so for the past previous years, whether it's
We-
H&K or,
We never had a contract since 2018. It was never renewed since then.
this year, okay.
So now we're going into renewing this contract with them.
In 2018?
Or actually putting a contract in place
Right.
for towing.
Oh, we didn't
Sorry,
have
let
a
me rephrase that.
contract.
No, we've been on a
So
contract
we
for a
also have
while.
a contract with towing companies since 2018.
Was that in there? I know during COVID, I had a couple of cars I needed towed, and they weren't towing anything off of private property at the time because.
Because of COVID,
Yeah, because of
yeah.
COVID. But, so in 2018,
It was
Did they-
18 to 19 was the yeah.
did
so-
they sign on to
Yeah, it was,
the same
and if you
situation?
go back, the history has always been from what I can see, that it's always been city
Free.
vehicles
Right.
not being charged. Although in some years there were like weight limits, like this
There's
contract.
$10,000.
This has a weight limit too.
So, but outside of that, no.
So we've never, this is the same as it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
But
And we've had contractors that have,
the same too. And who have also come and said, I think this is unfair. So, and again, it's not a point of negotiation for them. It's in order to respond to the RFP. And if it means other people bid, then it means other people bid. But I still think that as small businesses, that they should not continually incur the cost of their increase in business with the city making some level of compensation for having city vehicles. In the email I sent was, we asked if you could tell us how many were city vehicles
Right.
versus other vehicles, and no one's keeping track. So
Right.
we don't even know what the cost is to the contractor. So we need to know that. And that's another reason not to, what can we do now? Because we don't know what the cost is. But we should start keeping track of the costs and know what it's costing the contractor to tow city vehicles and what impact that is on the business. I think that's only fair. And again, no other contractor anywhere, and all the RFPs we put out say, you have to give this, do this free for the city.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's this for, just to follow up on the comments, for policy purposes, next time this goes out for RFP, that condition can be changed, and as I indicated earlier, if you revisit the issue of rates overall, that is certainly something, if the council so wishes, we can bring it to the attention of the contractors at that time regarding the tow rates for smaller city vehicles.
Go ahead.
Well, at that time, I would want to see how much that would cost the city
Right.
before I
And
would
that-
make a
that would-
decision
right.
on eliminating this from the
Yes.
contract.
And how much it costs the contractor as well.
Well,
Well,
yeah, because
it'd be the same difference, I think.
No, the city would pay more, the contractor would not absorb as much.
it would,
And because they're not keeping track at all right now of how many city-owned vehicles get towed.
So to address that, if we're talking about costs, including myself, we're gonna need to request that they track the
Yes,
city-owned vehicle that is towed
Yes.
absolutely.
for free,
Yes,
so that we can come back in a year time and look at those numbers
Yes.
and see how many the numbers and what is the average rate
yep,
they could have charged us
yes,
for these tolls,
Mhm.
and then we can able to make amends if possible.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of that stipulation in the RFP, I mean, if we're talking about small business, we should remove that, because some small business who can afford free service is not gonna bid for this.
Right.
So I think you have to shake it and look at both sides. I have a small business and I have to charge, and if the RFP says, well, you have to tow vehicle, city vehicle free, well, I'm not gonna bid. How does that open a fair, bidding process across the table for all the small business? So by move that, I think we should. I mean, we're supporting the small business, we're not taking away money from them, we're giving them more money
yeah.
by charging us. But I think it's fair that we should open it up across the board for every towing company to have a fair bidding process, rather than saying, yeah, well, X amount can bid because I'm incurring costs, so I need to expense for it. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would just recommend as you go through the budget cycle this upcoming year, you bring that to the attention to the police department as well as the Bureau of Service, and that those entities that have vehicles, to put them aware that in the future that may be an item of expense, and they should be keeping track for going
Yeah.
forward. So I would just, as you go through that discussions with the department heads in those particular bureaus and departments, that you kind of put them on notice.
I'm gonna ask Ms. Michael to put that in an email and send it to the police department to track the city vehicle that is being towed.
Starting now.
The OJ fee from the time this contract is signed. So if you might follow an email to us, to Lieutenant Nowicki and Chief and Brian Whipple, Assistant Chief. So that way we have one record to follow up with this cause for over 1 year period and come back to us. Any other discussion on this? Go
Who
ahead.
does, I should probably know this, but who does work this through with possible vendor? The mayor or you?
No, it's the police department, they're the lead agency, so to speak, on this, and then purchasing, because they take they're collecting the money. So it's a twofold. From what I understand, the police department, the folks in the field requesting those tows, and then the redemption fees and et cetera come through finance, so it's those two offices.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens in Albany, what happens in Troy. I mean, probably the police department can tell us if they are, what their RFPs look like, to see, whether similar sized cities have a similar condition in their RFP, which I did find it is on page 10 of the RFP, by the way.
Yeah, that's what we talked about at the last meeting. That's how I knew about it, because we hadn't seen the contract at the time.
Yeah, we had a sample of contract.
Mr. Rivera?
Go ahead, please.
Because the other part of this is that they collect all the money, they being whatever tow company, and then they have to give the city the portion that we
Right.
get, which means that they also are incurring administrative cost. So I think when we're looking at it, we should look at the overall cost that they're absorbing.
I guess, again, I just have to say, it's probably their cost of doing business. You know what I mean?
No, I don't, because I don't know anybody, other contractor that has to pay that cost of doing business to the city. So I don't even know if that term is really a good term to use in terms of it. It's almost like if you want to do business with them, you must do this. And so, no, I understand what you're saying, but I don't agree that it should be written and again, if there's another RFP that's out here that says this, then I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. However, to my knowledge, this is the only one.
Yeah, I don't think I can recall as long as I've been here that we have an RFP with specify that you do business with me, but you have to do free services. Because even the contract that we have, the larger project or small projects that we do, year round here, we don't specify that. But it's something that we can revisit. Let's look at the cost. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's look at the cost of 1 year period. See how much of free service was provided to the city, and then we can able to address it at this point in time. Because we're talking about it, but not attaching a cost, we don't even know. Maybe they didn't tow any vehicle.
It might not be anything. It might not be anything.
So,
And I mean, if I was one of these
So,
companies, I just have to say,
yeah.
let's say next year we
But
change it. If
what-
I was one of these companies, I would put in my bid that I'm not gonna charge any city-owned
Yeah,
vehicles.
but-
So that
but that's
I'd be
okay.
getting the
And that's
bid.
okay, when it's their
let
choice.
them do it.
Right.
Let them do it, but we have to open it so everybody has a fair shake in terms of bidding the process. And the same thing we have to look at too. We have to make sure that we have to allow the police department to make sure that the selection is fair, that the company that they're selecting is a company that they can do business with. The company has the capacity to tow these vehicles, to store them. Because in the past we had problems where they were storing vehicles out of town, where they were supposed to store it in Schenectady, and we had many issues some years ago.
I think they're still storing,
It's
well, I don't
all-
know about the towing
so-
companies, but I see.
So we have to be
Farmington
careful
up
when
in
we
Scotia.
say, okay, we have two companies here in front of us. I am sure that the police department did their homework and select these two companies, and they have the capacity to do it, they have the equipment, they have everything, the storing facility to make sure that people's vehicles are stored properly and not vandalized and things like that. So those are the things that we need to take into consideration. Now we look at the fee, but look at the towing company that they're doing the selection, is to make sure that the PD can work with them.
And are these companies the companies that have been doing it
Yes.
with the PD? Yeah.
Yes. Any other discussion?
No, and just so you know, Ms. Patrick, there is something in the contract that if your car stays there for 30 days, then they can move it outside the city, because that's, because they need room for other cars. But like if they towed it yesterday, or, within 30 days, it has to stay within the city, but then like after 30 days, need the room and you can redeem it. So I didn't have to go a little further to get it. So they do have that ability, so we're not, sticking with tow companies with not having enough room.
Go ahead.
And the towing companies holding the cars for 30 days, they can take, they get income on holding the cars. Yes. So- Oh, yeah.
Any other discussion?
Big money.
So we're just gonna amend, not amend, but just make those
The
necessary
contract.
correction, remove that sentence, and what else we have to?
That's it.
That's
Make a motion for the.
Motion to move this
I'll
forward,
move it.
both contract H&K and AC Towing.
Mhm.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any other business for finance? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's a good catch, we're the same level.
Now it's snack time.
Do things for free, but then.
But I need.
We don't know.